Hello, everyone, and welcome to our presentation of the 1956 film Giant, directed by George Stevens. Giant is an adaptation of Edna Ferber's 1952 novel, also called Giant. It stars Rock Hudson, who you might remember from earlier in the semester from Pillow Talk, Elizabeth Taylor, and James Dean in a role that, quite frankly, I had not seen him in before. Released in the U.S. in November 24th, 1956. Runtime was a steep 3 hours and 21 minutes. This is considered one of the most legendary films in history. From one of the things that I read, Martin Scorsese doubles back and watches this movie quite frequently, and it is also the inspiration for the television series Dallas. So that brings us to our thesis statement, which is the 1956 film Giant exposes the contemporary audience to a sweeping history of comparative lifestyles depicted in the institution of racism and sexism supported by the socioeconomic structure in the United States from the 1920s to the 1950s. This presentation explores the depiction of the counterculture movement at the time through the use of multi-genre storytelling in the film. So topic one, this film is interesting because it is a combination of both a Western film and a melodramatic film. The film is a cross-genre production that contains both Western and melodramatic conventions in order to illustrate the highly emotional transformation of family experiences as they are faced with the repercussions of systematic racism. So in some of the scenes featured here, you can definitely see the elements of the Western. They're using extreme wide shots to kind of show the enormity of the land and of where the ranch is. You also see interactions with like the livestock and just general situations like that are Western elements, that are Western iconography. Another thing you see here are the elements of melodrama. You see it in the argument about Mexican Americans' role in Texas and obviously the way that Texas became a state, the argument that they have between the two of them. So the film uses Western and melodramatic elements. First and foremost, this film depicts individuals who are struggling to fit into their own geopolitical identity. While statehood is the dominant force, national identity is also addressed as it pertains to the differences of cultures between the states. Families with shared economic status but vastly different lifestyles are compared and contrasted. One focus of these comparisons is the subject of equality, justice, and respect for others. Melodramatic features such as a focus on family, a portrayal of interactions that are highly emotional, and a depiction of individuals who are trapped in how things have always been are prominent in the film. And you see that with Bick's character, Rock Hudson's character Bick. You see it with Elizabeth Taylor's character. You see the differences in the politics in which they come from different areas of the country, obviously, and how these roles kind of intertwine between the two of them in the frame of a Western, but with the elements of melodramatic. So the second topic that we are going to explore is the influence of the production code. The production code was a form of censorship that played a role in the depiction of injustice in the film Giant. These guidelines, which were in effect during the time of this production, governed what could be shown on screen. They were primarily made up of conservative and religious groups, and they proposed to depict morality in order to safeguard society. In our film, these restrictions control much of the relationship between the lead characters, Rock Hudson as Jordan Bick Benedict and Elizabeth Taylor as his wife Leslie. The sanctity of marriage ties them together quickly with only the suggestions of physical attraction, and while they remain passionate for each other throughout the film, they are portrayed in their bedroom in two separate beds. Additional guidelines shape our characters in other ways as well. The morality standard put pressure upon the Hollywood studios to make films that would perpetuate the institution of marriage as defined by a heterosexual couple of the same race with a male at the head of the household. While Leslie frequently challenges her husband, she is always the compromising partner. So here's an example. Obviously, in this scene, they are sharing a bedroom together, but as a married couple, they are still in separate beds, presumably to try to be in compliance with the production code at the time. And then the third topic we're going to cover is the counterculture movement and where Giant fits into it. The counterculture movement, as told through the melodramatic aspects of Giant, portrays the dramatic consequences of socioeconomic and racial injustices and gender equality. So, we appreciate the consideration the film gives to the political climates of the region portrayed in the film and the impact it has on the mindset and actions of the characters. Through the characters in the story, viewers are presented with points and counterpoints, challenging the status quo of the time and the place. Giant correctly depicts the segregation of Mexican American populations, specifically in Texas. These are some quotes from NPR's episode of All Things Considered, which is called Marfa's Mexican Americans Remember Giant and Southwest Segregation. This was a very interesting episode because this actually went to the town in which Giant was filmed, and it talked to some of the Mexican American citizens there and what their experiences of living in the town are. And it's interesting how they seem to parallel some of the other aspects and themes of Giant, and specifically of Edna Ferber's novel in the first place. So, all in all, here's our conclusion. Through the representative characteristics of Western and melodramatic genres and the censorship of the production code, Giant is a historical example of cinematic art, representing the emerging counterculture movement that depicts conditions supporting the imbalance between groups based on race, wealth, and gender. You see it in a lot of Leslie and Big's interactions. You see tones of feminism. And then obviously throughout the film, you see the tension between the Caucasian Americans as well as the Mexican Americans who lived in the same area. We want to thank you for taking the time to listen to our presentation today and hope you get a chance to see Giant sometime in the future. Thank you so much.